烦，所以那个时候是要地主或者房东，对不对？他们要提出，可是像我台北30万，他只借我1万块，我说别吗？房子啊，我说别人都降1/3啊。他说不好意思，因为他的事业也在中国大陆，哇，他也很紧。What can I say？
我才说租房子是跑空，你知道吗？他们前期没辙，你不要做，对，房东最大的这样子，
就很讨厌啊。
如果多少在房价那个租给人家一个大耐心的很大，一个月160万，现在人家说分一半，他打80万还不足，40万也不足。
好，这就是因为房东好有气氛，都有气氛。
为什么不租啊？
因为房价没人用的。哦，他是房东，可是房子就不租啦，从160变40还不租。
因为几十万其实是 pretty heavy，
那是 constant， 你知道吗？
对呀，像我都是啊，我1个月是要加起来100。
Meeting start. The president is opening bell.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Meeting start.
4-way test. Rotarians, please all rise for the 4-way test. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it the truth?
Second,
Is it fair for all concerned?
third,
Will it do
Well, their friendships
fourth.
will be beneficial to all concerned.
Please be seated. Rotary, no, TPS.
Okay.
Please be the president of the Rotary song.
Okay. 现在2点回，再拜托进去聊天。
ROTARY, the spells Rotary. ROTARY is known on MNC. From north to south, from east to west, it profits more to serve the rest. ROTARY, the spells Rotary.
Thank you. Yes.
我用录音。
Introduction of visiting Rotarians and national guests. Bravo. English here. Lieutenant, President Jimmy, and my fellow Lieutenant. It's my great honor to introduce today's honorable guest. First of all, let's welcome today's speaker, Mr. Thibaud Brunel. We also welcome Mr. Brunel's sponsor, Ms. Sarah Mamet. Welcome. Today I'm not visiting Rotary today. That's my report. Thank you. Thank you, bro. President's time.
Good afternoon. Over the weekend, we had 2 great informal meetings. First, we have informal meeting held by Cornell, and it was at 大坑庙院. It was like a hidden gem restaurant, and we came out. It was a really nice reunion, and regarding first outing, we had a pretty much settled plan. So let's just look forward to our glamping and vocational visit in November. And then we have another informal meeting with Group 5, held by Tim and Angela. As you can see, they prepare a lot of food, and it was very delicate, decorated, and very delicious. And we also came out a very initial plan about our second outing in next year, probably before before April. So let's look forward to it. Thank you. And then we have our regular badminton activity on every Tuesday. But as you can see, this week we are kind of losing some members. So we hope everybody can join us when you have time. Thank you. That's my part of today.
Secretary's time. First of all, October board meeting will be held on October 14. We will interview recommended students for Rotary Academic Scholarship at 1400. All board members, please reserve your time to attend. The Halloween party will be held from 17:30 to 21:30 on October 24 at the Rico Plaza. We will have a Halloween costume contest, or you can dress in black or orange. Rotarian and the spouse and under 5-year-old kids are charged free. Guests over 13 years old are charged $600 each. Guests between 6 to 12 years old are charged $300 each. All members and the spouse are welcome to attend.
This year, because we didn't have the Mid-Autumn party and then we switched to Halloween party, so we kind of want to have fun with everybody. So please do some costume and do the cosplay, and we will have the contest. And I think I discussed with IPPS, and I think any cosplay you want can be like the movie star or character in a movie or cartoon. It's all welcome. So please do some makeup and wear the costume to join us. We will have fun. Thank you.
Okay, next. EG training and annual observe visit. EG training's annual observe visit will be on October 28 at B2, Tangrong 18. All members and the spouse are encouraged to attend. Please wear 21, 22 necktie or silk scarf and pin. All board members and the club committee chairs, please be present before 10:40. All spouses are welcome to join the spouse program at 11 o'clock at B2, Dathong Team. This is the program of teaching training's annual field visit. Notice that club business will start at 11:30. All board members and the club committee chairs must be present. Program speaker introduction. President Jimmy.
It's my honor to have Thibaud and Sarah to be here with us. I've known them for almost 4 years, I think. They were here they just moved here around a year at that time. They moved from Shanghai to Taiwan, and at that time Weber's still running his restaurant. So actually they were our clients at the restaurant. And then afterwards, we found out that Sarah is actually teaching French, so I took French class from her. And then Thibaud started his business in Taiwan. That's why the main reason they moved to Taiwan, right? No? Probably, yeah, you will explain. So Thibaud is an engineer. And next, please. I don't know, I think we all not really understand the education system in France, but I've seen a movie talking about the education system. It's actually really competitive in France if you want to get into the college or you want to be a political, and there are specific schools for politician or engineer. And Thibaud is one of them, that elite engineer, and he went to a very nice school and where they train the students to be really nice engineers. And after his education, he started the career in Spain and then in aerospace industry. And then he went to China, Shanghai. And then also involved in APAC region. And finally, they came to Taiwan. So I think there must be a lot of experience to share with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Thibaud Brunel.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Thanks a lot for your time and for the invitation. I want to especially thank Jimmy for the invitation and also apologize because you have been telling me about Rotary Taiwan group for months now, and my answer was delayed for a long time. But now we have the chance to do it. So thanks a lot again, and sorry for the delay. You covered a lot of things that I wanted to say already, but one thing I wanted to explain a bit that Jimmy was really one of the first person we met. Actually, Weber was one of the first person we met. I think it was the first weekend we arrived in Taiwan. We met Weber at the restaurant, and then the story of French lesson teaching started. One thing also I wanted to emphasize that honestly, I'm very admirative. I admire a lot your ability to follow the French lesson. Because we discussed that French is not an easy language. It's easy to give up on French. For me, it's, my level is, if I had your level in French, in Chinese, I would be very, very happy. That's for the introduction. I will just start the presentation here. So when Jimmy mentioned to me the Rotary Club, I knew a little bit what it was. My father actually was part of the Kiwanis Club, so I did a little bit of research and I found a very interesting statement about Rotary International. The global network and problem solver is something I wanted to emphasize. That's very important for me in what I do in everyday life. Even at home, you can ask my wife, I try to solve a lot of things, even when I should not. And one thing important is take action to create lasting change, not only for us, but also for the communities and for the across the globe. I will come back to this in a presentation, but that's, I think, generally speaking, is part of what I try to do every day. So it was very interesting for me to see this statement about Rotary Club. So who I am, in a nutshell, husband, so my wife, Sarah, wonderful life. Wonderful wife is here. She's a teacher. She is honestly the best French teacher I know. I say this to everybody. I'm also father of 2 children. We will see one picture later. I really like sports, so I realized recently that I'm addicted to sport. So if I don't do sport for a couple of days, I feel really physically bad. So I'm not sure if it's a good thing or bad thing, but that's definitely the thing. I really like basketball. I'm told I was playing basketball in France at a decent level before, and that brought me a lot of things also in my life in terms of professional networking and so on. So, especially in China and Shanghai. I wanted to emphasize that I'm French, international and European, in a sense that it's in Europe, it's sometimes in Taiwan it's difficult to apprehend, but Europe is a big continent. France is a very old country. We have a lot of old countries, and it's difficult to feel European. And what I felt being in Asia as a French people, this is when I started to feel European, because we realize German, UK, Spanish people, Italian people, that when we are abroad, we feel a bit more connection, especially in Asia. And international, that's very important for me. This is what I do every day. So being international also means trying to understand, have the empathy to understand what the other cultures are thinking. And being here a foreigner in Taiwan, it's very important that I try to do this every day in my professional life. And engineer, so engineer,
I want to spend a little bit of time on this. Ginny mentioned this. There's a different definition of engineer usually in American English and what we think are the engineer or engineering in French. So just a quick word about my family. I wanted to show you this. So that's my daughters, my wife. We speak a lot of languages at home. So Mandarin for my kids, French and Spanish for my wife and I. Just a good picture. Okay, I'm from the north of France. So sometimes from abroad, we think the north of France is Normandy. So France is here, suppose you know. This is the real north of France. There's no other north. So this is not Normandy, it is not Brittany. So this is a very important difference for the people from there. It's a very specific region. And usually we are known for poverty and oil industry, but it's not only this. So we have a beautiful coast. This is Lille, the main city where I was born. A huge, very important city historically, very close to Belgium. And the miners, so the people in the north of France are always close to mine for many reasons. So everybody in the family, in every family there is someone that has been close to a mine region or mine occupation. And that's obviously a very difficult job. So I'm talking about mine because this is actually the school I did. École des mines in France is basically means mine school. The group was created in the 18th century by Louis XVI, this guy, who is also known for being the guy who got decapitated. So, but he did founded the School of Mine Group to train intelligence directors. Okay, specifically for the mines of the kingdom of France. So this is all the mines in France. So at the time it was very, very important. Okay, but then the meaning changed and the School of the Mine stayed, and now it's basically engineering school. Okay, so that's still a prestigious name. It's quite competitive to get in, even if it's let's say now it's more open to what it used to be. Okay, so engineering, this is what I wanted to tell you. Engineering, if you ask Google, this is a definition I don't agree with. It's a branch of science and technology concerned with the design, building, and use of engines, machines, and structures. So to me, this is partly true, but I have to say I disagree with Google on this one. The French engineering, so what I did here is I found the definition of ingénierie in French, and I translate in English for the sake of the point. So ingénierie in French is the global study of an industrial project in all its aspects. It means not only a machine or a structure or an engine. It means it can be technical, it can be economical, it can be financial, and it can be human. So there's a lot of companies in France, big companies that are run by engineers. And not only because it's very technical companies, but also because in France we are kind of trained to be problem solver. So if you have a problem with someone, then you try to solve the problem. It doesn't have to be an engine or a machine. That's an important point I wanted to emphasize. And this is from my school. So these 2 points here are from my school, my specific school. So moving forward to transform the concept, technology and practice of the future. So there's an anticipation aspect, and to promote a virtuous circle that promotes innovation. So this is, for me, very important, because this is basically the reason why I started my company. Because sometimes in other countries, it can be for example in the USA, they always focus on engineering of the previous definition. In Asia, the concept of innovation is also a bit less clear. So what I wanted to bring as an engineer in Taiwan in my small field is to try to find new solutions that are applied in the industry. Just a few examples of the French companies that maybe you know some of them with engineers that are CEOs. So Total Energy, well, previously named Total, huge company, top 3 in the oil and gas, CA is Crédit Agricole. It's actually a bank. It's a top 3 bank in France and top 10 worldwide. So it's run by an engineer. BNP Paribas is the same thing, same type of entity. It's also a bank. EDF is energy. It's a bit more close to engineering. NG is also energy. LVMH, I don't know if you probably know Louis Vuitton. Maybe you know, the famous French brand. This is run by an engineer as well. Okay, and Vinci, big construction, huge company. Vinci is working a lot in Africa, like we said before, to construct some buildings, roads, airports, infrastructures. And companies that I know a little bit more, Airbus obviously, so they make airplanes, engineering CEO, Air Liquide and Safran, that are all present in Taiwan, by the way. So Air Liquide is very present, investing a lot in Taiwan for hydrogen production. That's a very important field of the industry. Safran also is very present in Taiwan. We discussed a bit about Dassault system before, but Safran is also supporting Taiwan Air Force with some maintenance, and also buying a lot of parts for the big engines for Airbus and Boeing. So, in a nutshell, what I wanted to do is, my own definition of engineering is really solve problems together. And I think this is something that is common with the Rotary International. So that I want to take the logo. But basically it's what I try to do. And it's usually not realistic to say, oh, I'm going to solve this problem by myself. It can be at a family level, it can be for my own problems or for my business problems. It's very difficult to solve a problem by yourself. So this is why I try to do. I don't know who do you know if Mark Parker is? Maybe someone knows. Let me see. Anybody has Nike shoes? Okay. So this is the previous CEO and chairman of Nike. And he was saying something very interesting that I saw when I wanted to start my company, is that the biggest source of opportunity are collaboration and partnerships. Now everything is connected. So here what he's saying basically is with digital communication, we have more potential and more opportunities for partnership. And for historical reasons, sometimes it's difficult to bridge the gap. But now in our world, in the modern world, you have to grow with partnership. It's going to be quicker, it's going to be more efficient. So this is one of the statements I had in mind when I started to set up my company here. My company is called TB Solutions, my initials. And what I do is I do Taiwan and Western cooperation projects, mainly in the field of industrial manufacturing. Okay, so I do a lot of consulting, some engineering services, it's a little bit different, and a little bit of, say, the traditional engineering or supplying some special equipment or helping on special equipment for composite manufacturing. So as an example, I don't know if you're familiar with composite material. Do you know about carbon fiber, glass fiber? So usually it's presented like a fabric, and you can make parts of planes, obviously cars. This is over there a full carbon badminton rackets that I think it's pretty obvious, laptops, and obviously bike. So I wanted to put forward this because here in Taiwan there's a huge, you probably know, bike industry. So the bike industry, I would say the top maybe 10 of bike company bike components producing carbon fiber are made by Taiwan companies. And knowing that now the bike sector is booming, there's not enough capacity for production for the demand in Europe and in the US, is a very important sector. IT, obviously, here in Taiwan, you are very familiar with semiconductors and IT business. Composite is used like this, especially thermoplastic material that are recyclable. That's also a very important trend. And obviously, badminton and sports goods, all the main manufacturers of this type of goods are Taiwan or in China, or sometimes also in Vietnam. But Taiwan is very important for that as well. So I've been involved personally in this kind of projects before. Okay, so helping on Airbus or Boeing programs, on racing cars, improving some production for sports goods, trying to find the right material for laptop or right equipment, and now a lot of work with the bike industry, where the supply chain is very much under pressure. So those are examples of my customers. Maybe, I don't know if you know some of them. The most famous is probably Excel, Composite Materials, but I wanted to put this. It's probably easier to understand. So one of the company I work with is producing composite materials that are recyclable. The one on the top over there, Aris, is using a very new technology of 3D printing for composites that are making very optimized shapes and very strong parts in composite material. Completely new process. The big robot you see here is a robot used in aerospace. It's called AFP robot, automated fiber placement. And basically improve the quality and the productivity to make a composite part, which were until maybe 5 years ago, almost 100% done manually. Okay, so this is a big achievement. It's used a lot in Europe and in the US, a little bit less in Asia, mainly due to the cheap labor still. And something important also for you see the Nike shoe. Now there's a lot of carbon plates in the shoes. So for high performance shoes, and what you see over there is a wheel, a racing car composite wheel. So all made of carbon fiber. That gives you a little bit of example of what I do on a daily basis. Okay, so one of the things that we discussed with Jimmy about this presentation is to maybe give a little bit my feedback of what I learned when I started my company here in Taiwan. So the first lesson I wanted to emphasize is, even if you don't have a company, if you want to start a business, from my point of view, you need to get your customer first. Don't even think about starting a business if there's not a project already, a customer that you know very well that is ready to commit with you. And that's really my feedback, my personal feedback. I wouldn't have dared to start anything without this. And then you create a company, which company, what type of company, to do what, that's kind of almost secondary. If you have your launching customer, these questions are answered already. And then I was surprised to see the amount of opportunities that I had just looking at my network when I started my business. So here the objective was to choose efficiently and wisely. Because you can pursue everything, but you have less chance to focus on the right opportunity. So here, this is, to me, the very important thing is don't prospect too much, but choose the right one. And very important, get help, especially when you by yourself, like me. It's difficult to start a business if you don't have help from partners, customers, people you know, people you like. So that's very important. And of course, the objective is to survive. So I had to change a few times of my decision to make sure that I would keep working on the project I'm working on. And then hopefully grow. So that's something I put here because everybody's talking about growth and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. To me, at my scale, a very small company, a one-person company, a small project, my goal is not really to grow. My goal is to survive and to make sure I do what I like. So, I have to grow just a little bit because I have more expenses, basically. But it's not like a huge pressure to get bigger. I'm not sure it applies to bigger companies and very financial companies, but to me at least it works. One word about one community I'm part of. I'm part of the French Tech Taiwan. So the French Tech Taiwan is this logo. It's a global French startup and innovation network. It's non-profit. So it's very much focused on trying to understand what are the new innovation everywhere, especially in Taiwan. So that's supported by the French government, and also the Taiwanese government is involved in that. So that's there's a lot of startup in different type of fields: energy, mobility, healthcare, and that's to me that's very important because, like we said before, to do my definition of engineering, you prepare for the future. So we discussed about Industry 4.0. We discussed about the next step, digital world. This is all related to the nowadays innovation. So in order to understand what will happen next, that was very important for me to be part of that. Okay. Yeah, one quick word about very humble vision of mine. I think now the world is changing very fast. We had a big pandemic, obviously. There's a few trends that I think personally that will stay. I hope they will stay at least. There will be more and more women involved in high position in companies. That's a fact. I mean, that's the way it should be. There's always women are still considered as a minority, where the numbers say there are more women on Earth than men. So that's something that is changing. It's changing faster, I would say, in Europe than in the US, but that's definitely a trend, and a lot in the big companies. The second trend that I think is not moving back is sustainability, even if there's a lot of things that are still to be improved. Everything what I see in my customers, everything is really related at, okay, how do we make products that are recyclable in a process that is sustainable with less impact on Earth. That's very, very important. A company like Decathlon that we mentioned before, they have an objective to have what we call cradle-to-cradle recycling. It means you have a product, you can recycle it into the same product. They want to do this in about 5 years. So on sports goods, that's a huge market. This is what they want to do, and I'm sure this will be very important in the next 10 years. By the way, the French Tech, I'm helping the French Tech to organize a meeting, a roundtable in December about sustainability and decarbonization of the industry in general. And finally, I think we know already, but we're going to be even more connected. So the concept of Internet of Things, to have everything connected, you know, the aircon connected with the mobile phone, with the lights at your home, with your TV. This is almost already there, even if it's not spread out. The next step is to be connected and optimized. So optimized for energy, optimized for usage. This for me would be a huge trend industry in our daily life. Okay, one thing that I wanted to discuss also, if you remember the first statement of Rotary, the topic was to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. So to me it's a little bit different. I think it's the other way around. It's first on myself, then in my communities, in my family, for example, and then across the globe. My basic understanding of that is that how can you try to help others change if you don't manage to change your own way to live? So for me, at least for me, again, it's a personal opinion, it's very challenging to have perspective on how to change myself to improve the effect I have on the consequence I have on other people, especially the communities, and then across the globe. Hopefully that's something that can be done at some point. Okay, now I just wanted to finish with a little quiz and see if you have the answers. There's just 3 questions, I think. Do you know who said that the service is the rent I pay for the space occupied on Earth? Any ideas? I think maybe you know. Do you know, Jimmy?
No. Can we Google it?
There's this guy. Okay, so that's the current, I think he's still president, right? He's about to change. So that's, I like the sentence, because it basically means that we still have a responsibility, it's just we are not just here to be here. We have a responsibility to do something here. The second one is also something I like. We know that our differences really are our strength. It's our diverse perspective that helps us tackle the world's most pressing challenges. Any ideas?
It's too hard.
It's too hard. It's a little bit hard, yeah. Maybe you don't know her yet. There's this lady. Here's the next Rotary International president, the first woman president of Rotary International. She's starting next year, I think, 2022. So she said a lot of things that are very interesting. You can have a look on Google. And something maybe that would be easier. Do you know what this is? The 2 mountains in the back. Okay, that's for people from the north of France. So this is a slag heap, okay, which is what you remove, what you take from the mine, and that creates kind of small mountains like this. And you can see it's already green. So this was taken out of the mine in like maybe 50 years ago, and now it's like an artificial mountain. So it's really from, if you go to the north of France, you can see stuff like this. And the funny thing is that now we use this in the north of France to do funny stuff like this. this is a ski area on what was before previously behind again. So I just wanted to show you that if you go to the north of France, you can still ski over there, even if it's not too cold. And that's it. 谢谢大家。
Anyone have question for Thibaud? I just feel a little bit ashamed that we just learned something said by President of Rotary International from Thibaud. Hopefully you can be our potential member in the future. Any questions? No? Okay. Go for it.
Thank you very much for the speech. I was just wondering, so you were saying the concept of engineering is different in France, is that? So it doesn't imply only scientific sort of knowledge when you say engineering in France. It's
Yes.
more than that.
Yes, it's the concept of ingénierie in France is really about, like I said, solving problems. Usually in companies, so it means that the way we see the companies in France is not only an industrial, also a human entity. So very early in France, the concept of trying to manage the right people and to have the human aspect of the production is very, very important. And this was incorporated in the way we train the engineers very early. So my school, and we do, it's a 5 years master degree. Maybe we do like very technical things the first 2 years, and then we have more general subjects, economy, management, accountancy, marketing. We have also cultural things, so history of painting, history of photography, language a lot, more and more. And so we still have some technical subjects, but it's very focused to understanding the people you're working with and trying to solve problems the best way. So we are really not experts. My school, we are not an expert school. We're just people who are able to find the right information where it's supposed to be. Yeah.
So you've been solving problems within corporations?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there could be engineer in every department of the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever found any word in English to describe the same meaning as engineer?
I would say industrial engineering is the closest one, but it still has let's say something that is more related to production, right, in the industry. But to be honest, even in France, I mean, if you use the word in ingénierie, most people they will not really understand until you go to engineering school and you start to work. But for me, I did personally, I did very technical things for 1 year when I started to work. So I was test engineer, so I was working on planes parts, structural engineer, so I was checking how the parts would behave, and then very quickly I did management, business development, strategy, and now more consulting. So all this is, of course, it comes from, let's say, a technical background, but it's really not technical stuff.
No wonder we can see so many engineer CEO in every industry, right?
Yeah.
Any question for Thibaud? Did he just?
You say like MBA, right? So I'm an MBA fan too. So like, what's your comment on Ruby Gobert?
I'm sorry, say again?
Ruby Gobert.
Rudy Gobert? Yeah. So your question is, who is my favorite player?
No, I mean, what do you think of him? Like, how's he doing NBA?
Rudy Gobert, yeah, we can talk a lot about this. Rudy Gobert is very interesting in France, he is very important now, because he is obviously part of the French national team, he's one of the best players.
It's like the national hero?
National what?
National hero in Europe. In France.
After the Olympics, I think probably Nicolas Batum is probably more famous because of the blood. But Rudy Gobert itself, it's important to know that Rudy Gobert, when he started, he was playing football. He was playing soccer. And then and then he grew up, he started basketball, and he was really not good. He was just tall, and he was not coordinated. But he went all the way, and at every step, everybody was telling him, no, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And then he managed to go to all-star level in the NBA. So that the story is important. What I like personally about Rudy Gobert is he's not really a fancy player. You know, he's not spectacular. And he does stuff that the rest of people don't really want to do. So that for me, that's why I like him.
Just curious.
Yeah, thank you.
In France, there's no so-called national hero.
He's always curious at a different thing with us. Part of us. Any question for Phoebe still?
台湾为什么来？
Thank you, it's just interesting because you mentioned that you anticipate more women to work. So do you anticipating there's a women president for France in the near future? I think you have some good useful politician, like Christine Lagarde, I think is the chairwoman of IMF so far. She's obviously done a great job. What's your opinion on that one?
So I'm not going to go into politics. It's really not my field, and all that. I'm not sure I'm competent enough. Now about the woman in politics and the woman representation, I think, like I said, I think it's a trend in every sector. I think in France, there's still in the political environment, it's still difficult for women to be seen as not only women, and also for stuff that they are bringing, competency, skills, and mindset. I think it's coming at some point, hopefully soon. At least now in the last election we had a young president. That was a very the new thing for France. I'm not saying it's better. So for Christine Lagarde in particular, honestly I don't think she will go into politics anymore. I think she will stay in the background. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of political opinion on that.
Any more questions for Thibaud? Okay, maybe we will have some casual discussion after the speech, and then I want to show you our presentation.